We are truly excited to be in downtown Orlando. We are going to get some interviews and share with the people the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're going to give them the great controversy, the National Sunday Law, a Sabbath tract, and a radiant living. So stick around.
What does CIA stand for?
I don't know.
What does CIA stand for?
I have no idea.
What does CIA stand for?
CIA, Criminal Investigative Association, I believe.
What does CIA stand for?
The Central Intelligence Agency.
That is correct. That is what the CIA stands for. Now, do you know what the primary job of the CIA is?
I think their primary job would be similar to the police force, but more the head of law enforcement.
Now, Marianne, what is the primary job of the CIA?
I believe it has to do with foreign intelligence.
Now, do you know the primary job of the CIA?
Not specifically. I would guess they have some work to do with counterintelligence and keeping the country safe.
Do you know the primary job of the CIA?
It's to, I guess, expose threats abroad to make us safer, I suppose.
The CIA is the foreign spying agency for America.
That is also correct. Now, they collect, analyze, evaluate, and disseminate foreign intelligence in order to help make decisions that relate to national security. So you're right.
So, Jerome, can you guess what religious group has predominantly run the CIA?
I would assume Christians or Catholics.
Can you guess what religious group has predominantly run the CIA?
Atheist. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Now, can you guess what religious group has predominantly run the CIA?
I'm going to assume or guess the Catholic religion.
That is correct. Why do you guess that?
Because I figured that they might have a lot of involvement with the CIA.
Now, the CIA has been predominantly run by Roman Catholics, and a high percentage of them have been members of the Jesuit Society.
So, Kai, do you know who the Jesuits are?
The Jesuits, I couldn't give you a dictionary definition.
Okay, do you have an idea of who they are?
They were the first, I think they were the colonists, one of the first colonists that came over to America, and they kind of like split from Protestantism and what are they called? What were the Puritanism, and they're split from Puritans to form the Jesuits, I believe.
So, do you know who Jesuits are, Marianne?
Kind of, yes. I was raised Catholic, so I'm familiar with Jesuits.
Okay. And what can you tell me about Jesuits?
Well, they seem to be more liberal priests, I guess.
All right, so they are a male congregation in the Roman Catholic Church, as you know. And so what we're going to do is just read the Jesuit oath, okay? So have you follow along. It says,
I furthermore promise and declare that I will,
when opportunity present, make and wage relentless war, secretly or openly, against all heretics.
I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive.
Rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women in order to annihilate forever their terrible race. So, Lucas, what are your thoughts on the Jesuit oath?
Well, based on that oath, I'm not too fond of the group. I haven't really looked into what else they claim to stand for, but it's kind of concerning to have a group, like you said, so involved in central intelligence and everything, and being so motivated by these values.
So, Amber, what are your thoughts on the Jesuit oath?
It's pretty deep. It's kind of, I don't know, violent in my opinion.
So what are your thoughts on the Jesuit oath, Kai?
It sounds like any other religion, really. Violent, fear, God-fearing or fearing deviation from belief systems. That's what I feel like. No surprise to me.
So what are your thoughts on the Jesuit oath?
The Jesuits are pretty bad people. Sounds like they want to kill people. That's not a good thing, is it?
So, Jose, what are your thoughts on the Jesuits' oath?
It's not a much, it doesn't seem like a very religious organization at all. Unfortunately. By reading this, it seems like, everything that they, according to this, everything that, they stand for is totally against what the Bible teaches us.
Is evil. It's very evil. And I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed.
Now, do you know who the current director of the CIA is?
I do not.
His name is John Brennan, and he himself is a Jesuit. Did you know that?
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
Now, did you know that Pope Francis is the first publicly announced Jesuit Pope, Lucas?
I did not. I've heard quite a bit about Pope Francis, but I've not heard that.
Yes, he is a Jesuit, and he has been named the most popular person in the world by a recent poll. He also believes that he has the solution to solve the world's issues. So, Lucas, my question is, based on the Jesuit oath, how do you feel about Pope Francis being so impactful in political and social issues?
Well, I would guess if he's basing his solution to the world's issues on this oath, it's not something that the public is going to want to support, or at least not anyone but these extremists. I would hope that he would be more responsible in finding a better way to find people without flaying, or to fix things without flaying people and ripping up their stomachs and hurting people.
Based on the Jesuit oath, the excerpt that we just read, what are your thoughts on Pope Francis being so impactful in social and political issues?
I think that we should keep our, separation of state and church. I believe that the Pope should stick to his religious issues, and then the government needs to handle the government issues.
So now, based on the Jesuit oath, because Pope Francis is a Jesuit, right? How do you feel about Pope Francis being so impactful in political and social issues?
I feel that's a sign of prophecy. So I'm not surprised. It's, the Catholic religion is a religion of a universal religion trying to get everyone in the world to follow their same creed. So that doesn't surprise me.
Wow, Sean, I was going to ask you now, are you aware that the Bible tells us there is a time coming when our liberty of conscience will be stripped away, and that those who stand true to the principles of Protestantism will not be able to buy and sell?
Yes, Revelation.
You are correct. So now what we're going to do is just leave you with an article. It talks more about the subject and a gift showing how history is being repeated. Any other comments, Sean?
None whatsoever.
It's eye-opening to me. It's very fascinating, eye-opening, seriously, and I'm going to do more research about it.
All right, well, thank you so much, Jerome, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your information.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Do you believe in miracles?
I do. I do believe in miracles, yes.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes, actually I do believe in miracles.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yeah, sometimes.
Cameras caught a statue of the Virgin Mary weeping at a home in California, and the owner called it a miracle. So what are your thoughts on that, Darina?
I don't know about that. I guess I don't view the statue of Mary as a god or in the God sphere, so I don't know how I feel about the statue crying.
Now, recently in California, a Mary statue in front of a home was found to be weeping, and the owner called it a miracle. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a different perspective on what actually classifies as a miracle. I would say that is definitely a questionable circumstance, unexplainable event.
Now, cameras captured a statue of the Virgin Mary appearing to weep at a home in California, with the owner calling it a miracle. What are your thoughts on that, Savannah?
I don't really know.
Let's see what Mommy thinks. What are your thoughts, Joanne?
Well, as far as it being a miracle, I'm a little skeptical. It can happen, but I'm not sure what I think about that.
Now, Juan, it's interesting because multiple times a year there are several documentations of statues of Mary that are crying and bleeding or performing some other miracle. Now, Catholics and non-Catholics, they visit these statues and they pay homage. So if you, Juan, personally saw a statue of Mary crying, would it convince you that Mary is a deity to be worshipped?
Mary herself, I don't know. Because when I see Mary or think about Mary, I think about the Holy Trinity in general, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and I think they all kind of go together. So I think maybe seeing the Virgin Mary would be God or Jesus, but like I said, I feel like it'd be all related. But I would probably at least worship there a little bit.
I mean, do you think that it would convince you that Mary is a deity to be worshipped if you saw a statue crying?
No, it wouldn't.
And why not?
Because I believe Mary, in my own personal religious views, Mary was a human who gave birth to Jesus. And I believe that she shouldn't be worshipped. She should be respected and honored, but not necessarily worshipped. That's my opinion.
Well, what's very interesting is that many people, particularly Roman Catholics, they believe Mary is a deity that can be prayed to and worshiped. So now, Dylan, are you familiar with the first and second commandment?
No, I'm sorry, no.
Now, are you familiar with the first and second commandment in the Bible?
I am not.
Now, are you familiar with the first and second commandment?
I know the first one, and then I'm blanking on the second one now, and that's a little embarrassing because I went to CCD for so many years.
Okay, so what is the first commandment then?
Thou shalt not kill, right? Or is it not?
Oh, Glenn, are you familiar with the first and second commandment and what they say?
Yeah, thou shalt, it was, let me say, first commandment is thou shalt not kill. No?
No, the first commandment actually says we should not have no other God besides God the Creator. Right. And the second commandment says we should not bow down to or worship graven images. And both of these can be found in the book of Exodus, verses 3-7.
The second commandment now is not to make or bow down to any graven images. Okay. And I just told you how many Roman Catholics, they use the statue of Mary, they pray to her and they worship her. So now what are your thoughts on that based on the first and second commandment?
Well, they're putting her, as a god, so I don't agree with her being part of deity. Is she special, important? Yes, she was the mother of Jesus, but I don't put her in that realm with them.
Now, did you know the Bible actually speaks of a time where right before the second coming of Christ, many people will be deceived by miracles?
I was not aware of that.
All right, Juan. So now, did you know that the Bible tells us right before the second coming of Jesus Christ, miracles would be worked that would deceive the masses?
I'm not sure if I knew that. Can't say I do.
Well, you can find that in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verses 23-26. So we're going to leave you with an article that talks about this subject, as well as a give showing how history is being repeated. Any other comments?
I agree that history does repeat itself, and thank you for this.
Are you aware of President Obama's new policy concerning public schools and transgenders?
No.
Are you aware of President Obama's new policy concerning transgenders and public schools?
No, I'm not.
Are you aware of President Obama's new policy concerning public schools and transgenders?
No.
No, I'm not.
All right, so what's going on is that the Obama administration, they cited Title IX in telling schools to give transgender students access to all facilities and activities consistent with their gender identity. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, personally speaking, they should be able to use what bathroom they feel comfortable in just like anybody else. I don't think there should be any difference. We're living in a world now today where a lot of things are not what someone would consider the norm from back when I was a child. So it's about learning and moving along with the changes.
Well, honestly, there are people who are legitimately transgender. There's guys who feel like they should be women and women that feel like they should be men. However, I have a daughter. She's 9. And if I see a guy with lipstick going into the ladies' room when my daughter's in there, there's going to be a problem. There's a difference between people who are legitimately born feeling a different way as opposed to someone who's a pedophile. I'm afraid they're going to try to take advantage of that. And there was actually a case recently in Texas where a fellow was in the bathroom taking pictures of someone's daughter. And that's what I don't want to happen to my kid.
I think on the whole I support it, but I think it opens up the question of what are the rights of non-homosexual people, or non-transgendered people, I should say. I think there could be a little bit of an issue there, but on the whole I support it.
Now, under Title IX, the Education Amendments of 1972, schools receiving federal money may not discriminate based on a student's sex, including a student's transgender status. If public schools do not follow this directive, they will face a loss of federal funds. So do you believe institutions should be forced to allow transgenders to participate in sex-segregated activities and access sex-segregated facilities consistent with their gender identity?
I don't believe anybody should be forced to do anything.
I mean,
So you think
if all along, to get that federal funding, you're following along. If you have to follow those guidelines, you just got to follow those guidelines.
I think maybe they could implement some type of structure within the school for, children that think that way, or, that have that type of issue. So, just to be more clear, that have that type of issue going on, and it's not really an issue, it's just their lifestyle, that type of lifestyle. Maybe they can accommodate them with some type of facility within the school. I don't know, it's just a random thought.
Federal funding, if they choose not to get federal funding and become a private institution, then hey, they have the money to do that, then they can go ahead and follow that. But if you want to follow line with the federal government, then hey, those are things you have to do.
And I think it goes back to, again, to if you legitimately have that inside you where, look, I'm a girl or I'm a boy, as opposed to, look, if I was 17 years old and in high school, I identify as a girl. I'd go into the girls' room. But for the government to mandate that and tell the schools they're not going to get money, I consider it extortion.
Texas Governor Dan Patrick said that he states he will not yield to blackmail from the President of the United States. Do you see this directive as a form of blackmail from the President?
I think so, and that's pretty, I guess I would say that's pretty rude. I would take it as blackmail.
The Texas Governor, Dan Patrick, he said his state is not going to yield to the blackmail of the President of the United States. So my question is, do you see this directive as a form of bullying or blackmail from the President?
If that's the exact phrase that he used, I would say more of bullying. That's uncalled for. If he doesn't agree with it, then it shouldn't be phrased in the way that he said it.
So now I want to ask you, Joanza and Clarence, lastly, are you aware that the Bible speaks of a time when the government is going to enforce laws that go against our conscience, and that those who do not obey will not be able to buy or sell?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Clarence?
I'm aware of that as well.
Yes, the Bible speaks of that in Revelation chapter 13. So we're going to leave you with an article that talks about this information and a gift showing how history is being repeated. Right. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right, have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Which diet fights cancer cells more, a plant-based diet or the standard American diet? Ashish?
Well, my wife is 100% vegetarian, so I would say a plant-based diet.
Atika?
I would agree, a plant-based diet.
What type of diet fights cancer more, a plant-based diet or the standard American diet?
Plant-based for sure.
And why do you say plant-based?
Because it sounds healthier. Everybody in America is fat.
Which type of diet fights cancer cells more, a plant-based diet or the standard American diet?
Probably a plant-based diet.
And why do you say that, Phil?
Well, they say to eat fiber and stuff like that, so I think that just common sense, that's what I'd say.
Now, you are correct. Studies show that a plant-based diet fights cancer cells 8 times more than the standard American diet. Now, can you tell me some causes of cancer, Jason?
I don't know. I mean, being in the sun too long, or smoking, I'm sure any vices, drugs, alcohol type of things, potentially.
Those are all correct. As well, another one is eating meat and dairy products. They are a major cause that many people are not aware of. They cause tumors, pulmonary diseases, and other complications. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
I eat a lot of meat and I eat a lot of dairy, so that's unfortunate to me. But I can definitely tell that I feel groggier sometimes when I do eat like a big steak dinner and don't feel the same the next day. I know my body probably takes a lot longer to digest that type of stuff.
So do you eat a meat diet or do you eat a plant-based diet?
Both. Meat and plant-based diet.
Now, why do you eat both a meat and plant-based?
I eat both because for myself, I do work out and I feel like most of my protein does come from meats. But I do also like plant-based because I love veggies and I think they are healthy for you.
When I eat too much meat, I feel like I'm not comfortable. And Chinese just don't eat too much meat. We like vegetables. But if I eat too much vegetables, sometimes I will feel just not powerful enough for the day. Yeah.
Why do you eat a flesh-based diet?
Just so good. I don't know. I love it. I mean, growing up on it, I eat a lot of pork, a lot of red meat. Gosh, I know it's bad for you, but I just like it.
All right, so now, Jason, are you aware that in the Bible, God has outlined the perfect diet for us to maintain health?
No.
Yes, it's found in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, as well as chapter 3 and verse 18. But what we're going to do, Jason, is leave you with an article that talks more about this information and a gift showing how history is being repeated.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Any other thoughts?
No, I just now feel horrible. I'm probably going to eat something healthy now for lunch.
All right, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Today has been such an amazing day, and we truly know that God is behind all of this work. Now, we just want to encourage you to go and tell it to the world.